A housing crunch for some of the state's most vulnerable Vermonters. Good evening, everybody. I'm Darren Perrin.
And I'm Kat Villianzoni. Parents and self-advocates for Vermonters with developmental and intellectual disabilities are calling on lawmakers to fund more housing options. Channel 3 political reporter Calvin Cutler joins us live now from our Montpelier Bureau to explain. Calvin.
Well, good evening, Kat and Darren. Housing up and down the income spectrum has been one of the biggest priorities for lawmakers this legislative session. But for adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities, advocates say that the housing with the necessary accommodations is woefully inadequate. Donna Roberts says her 24-year-old son Gabriel is autistic, has OCD and anxiety, and needs support. He was recently in a shared living setting, which she says did not work out.
For many other families, it ends up looking and feeling more like foster care for adults with developmental disabilities. There's no stability. If a provider can no longer house your loved one, the arrangement is over.
Robert's experience isn't unique. Many Vermont adults with intellectual disabilities live with aging parents or other family members. Last year, dozens of families rallied for change, urging lawmakers to find new housing options.
But they all want more choice in their housing.
Kirsten Murphy with the Vermont Developmental Disabilities Council says most adults with disabilities live in shared living settings, many of which do not have supportive services. A new report commissioned by the state shows Vermont needs about 600 new units.
We don't have options that look more like independent apartments, and we don't have very many group settings where there might be some intentional programming, especially for people with somewhat higher support needs.
Vermont lawmakers are busy building the state budget. As of now, there's no money set aside for housing this specific population, but House budget writers are increasing the Medicaid reimbursement rate by 4%, affecting some agencies that serve Vermonters with developmental disabilities.
Their rates were off by almost 80%. They needed to get addressed. So breaking that into this budget was something that we felt was a priority to do.
Now, we're about halfway through this legislative session, and the Developmental Disabilities Coalition's Murphy is hoping that Senate lawmakers will earmark more money in their budget as it moves forward. Kat?